Hi, I'm Lubrino, and welcome back to the W. Today, we are doing our first Top Talk of the year with Mr. Schenker.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And today, we're going to be talking about the highly discussed new plan for at-home learning. So today, we're just going to answer a couple questions, see what Mr. Schenker has to say about them, and although not being your final decision to go virtual at home, what is your opinion of the new plan?
I have mixed opinions, as always. I have mixed opinions about a lot of things that we're living through in the age of COVID. Here's the reality. There are a lot of voices that play into a system, right, in a school system, K-12. Those voices, each one has their own perspective and their own opinion. Students, parents, Board of Education, administration, faculty. So while there is no panacea of ideal learning in this current model that we're all living through, I think there is examples of good things that can be taken from a lot of different places and possibly adopted, right? So is it ideal? I don't think learning across a computer screen is ever ideal. Otherwise, we'd all be online schools and we wouldn't have any brick and mortar buildings, right? Yeah. But the reality is there are some good things that we can steal from that concept. And I think if we work collectively, both faculty, administration, students, parents doing their part as well, if we work collectively, we can steal kind of those best pieces and try and put those into place.
Sounds good. So next question here. While the Board of Education made the final decision to go ahead and shift the learning plan, were impacted groups given a chance to voice their concerns?
So I think the dialogue that's been ongoing, and I think a lot of this has become much more so between parents and either board members, parents to administration, and really voicing some need for change. And this is not just high school, right? There's been dialogue across the K-12 dialogue, but it has been predominantly parents. The notion and the understanding of how different a high school population is from obviously talking with a third grader. Mm-hmm. I always, and I think most students, especially those that have been here for a number of years, and any former students would always tell you, my leaning is always to grab the opinions of many, faculty, to grab the opinions of students, to grab the opinions of parents and fellow administrators, and really talk it through. I think the dialogue at this point, because this is such a unique stage in which we're kind of living in, and when I mean parents, very concerned about their children and how they are either losing something in this era of COVID. I think the dialogue fell solely between parents and the district, but I do think that there is benefit of still getting some student input.
Yeah. Agreed. So next question here. You're aware that the students are not happy with the new plan, and is there any way to have their voices maybe heard a little more?
Wait, you mean the students don't want this?
No.
Yes, I've talked with a lot of students over the last week and a half since this dialogue has kind of been out there about the concerns. But I do, and here's the biggest thing that I would say. One, their voices do need to be heard. And I think they will through the process. Sometimes, as I said, a system is going to move in a direction. Mm-hmm. Moving in a direction doesn't predetermine this is the only way it goes. It just means, hey, we have to evolve. We have to do something else than what we're doing. What that something else looks like is really where I think student voice and actually partnership with faculty really comes into play. So, yes. So the district wants to make sure that we've added in live streaming and find that middle ground, right, between the different groups vying for more contact time, more instructional time for their children. And at the same breath, up here with high school students in particular who can really voice what works best for them, mm-hmm. It really behooves us now to have those conversations as we unfold this. What does it look like in the classroom? How do teachers work with the students and that's where the relationship really is, right? Between individual teachers and their classroom of kids. That's where the relationship exists to say, what works in my instructional world, right? If I'm in one discipline, if I'm in the arts, think about this class in particular. Mm-hmm. How would I live stream in students to a broadcast like this and have it be meaningful?
Yeah.
So there's got to be this extreme flexibility, and that dialogue is where student voice is really important to say what does work for us and what doesn't work for us. So yes, there's definitely going to be opportunity for students to be involved in the move forward. I just think everyone's got to realize that don't assume the worst simply because a change is happening, right?
Yeah.
Let's let it unfold. Let's see where it goes.
So, learning through Google Classroom is a challenge to begin with. How is streaming into the class going to be any better? And I know you kind of covered this a little bit with the last question, but just from last year, is there going to be a new structure this year, this time?
Yeah.
Or?
So I think it's important to know, and you'll see that, like I said, I had done a Screencastify just to send out to students because there's just no way for me to talk to everybody in this new format. I can't have an assembly. So students will hear my words to some of these changes and some of this new iteration, right, in their classes on Thursday and Friday. But the reality is there are definitely ways to make it work. Is it ever going to work awesome? No. I don't believe, as I said in the beginning, that learning through a computer screen is ever going to replace being here in person and having the peer-to-peer interactions, the teacher-to-student interactions that are necessary for learning. But I do think that what we have learned a lot from last spring until now is, one, the in-person piece, which we've been able to hold on to and maintain because of the pattern that we've established here, and students doing the right thing with mask wearing and distancing and the like, and our community kind of holding on to being one of the few high schools in the area that has yet to have to shut down.
Yeah.
I think that in-learning piece matched with the home day live streaming puts us in a better position than where we were last spring, definitely. And then most importantly is, and you're going to hear this word stated a lot, the need for flexibility in terms of what each individual teacher is doing on a given day, in a given lesson, is really important. If anybody's expecting to actually be sitting on their home day, live streaming in for 6.5 hours watching a computer screen, that's, I think, what I said before. Don't visualize the worst, because that could be the worst. Live streaming for 6.5 hours. And trust me, my daughter, who's in a different district, a junior, has been doing this since September. Yeah. And that's, in essence, what they do there. I would not put that here. Yeah. The expectation, and we've talked with the faculty through department meetings, we've discussed about placing that flexibility in teachers' hands to make the best decision about what works for this lesson. And there are many lessons where what really works best is the live streaming students checking in at the beginning. All right, so we're giving the parents the structure that they want for their students on the home day. They're going to check in the beginning, and some days it might be, you are staying collectively on with the kids in school. You guys at home live streaming on your home day, we're all going to be together, we're watching an introductory lesson. And that may work for today. Tomorrow you come back to class, you might check in the first minute or two, and I, as the teacher, might now break you out to go do something for 30 minutes independently, off screen, and just work on that task, because I'm going to be working with the students in front of me in the building. And being able to maintain that sense of flexibility is, I think, part of the ingredients that are going to make this better than I think what many students are anticipating it being the worst of. And that's something that's going to be an evolution, right? Nobody's walking into this tomorrow and saying, wow, I got this live streaming thing down pat. I've been prepared for this my whole life, right? Yeah. Teachers, like all of us, are living through these changes in the moment. Yeah. So that flexibility on everybody's part and a little bit of forgiveness is really critical in this process.
All right. Well, there you have it, Westlake. Thank you for coming to our first Top Talk of the year. This has been Ray Lubrino, signing off.
Thank you.